This episode of the KrakCast is brought to you by our friends at BigDoor24.pl. It's a new service that not only matches expats with local property experts who speak their language, but it gives you cash-back discounts on successful credit applications. So go to BigDoor24.pl. That's BigDoor24.pl. Find out all the information you need to get the mortgage you want. Again, BigDoor24.pl. Make sure you use the special promo code KrakCast to get a great cash-back offer. And now, on with the show. All right, so today we're going to dive into the world of Polish television. We watch a lot of TV, right? Even in the age of Netflix and streaming and whatnot, we still watch old school TV. Mike, you big TV watcher?
Man, I was raised on the TV. I was like, suckling on that CRT nipple.
That's a nice visual. Thanks for that. Dave, are you a Polish TV guy, or are you mostly on the internet watching other stuff?
Well, like most people who rocked up here as a foreigner, I was fascinated from day one with Polish TV, the LEKTOR, all these strange programs. There's a real feeling you're looking under the hood of a culture when you're watching its television programs, and there's certainly some interesting things that I'd like to cover on this.
Yeah, we're going to cover some things that you might not be familiar with if you don't live here, or find kind of interesting or funny. Just things that make the world of Polish TV unique and different. And it starts, as Dave mentioned, it starts for me, and I think for most people, it starts with the LEKTOR. Let's talk about the LEKTOR. This is the first thing you're going to notice. If you're a foreigner and you come here, you turn on Polish television, within 30 seconds, you're going to stop, you're going to stare at the TV for a minute, and you're going to go, what the hell is that? The Polish LEKTOR it's almost always a man's voice, except for like nature documentaries. It's a man's voice, it's a monotone, and let's say it's a typical American sitcom. He speaks in Polish. It's a translation service, basically, right? Some countries have subtitles. Some countries have professional voice actors. Poland has the LEKTOR. So he's speaking in Polish over the original. You can hear the original. The volume is turned down, but you can hear it. He's speaking over it, so you can hear him and the original. Again, a monotone, emotionless voice. He does women, men, children, everybody. It's one guy doing all voices. We've all become used to it, I guess, but at the very beginning, I could not get over how weird this was.
I remember one of the first nights I was in Krakow, I woke up and my two mates that I travelling with, Phil and Fran, were staring at the TV. I got up and I was looking at them. They looked so strange. The LEKTOR was on. They were watching the OC. I'll never forget this. And this strange hypnosis had come over them where they were able to pick out the English before the LEKTOR started speaking. And then Fran revealed the secret that apparently when they speak in slow, short sentences, you can follow what's going on.
Mike?
I was always mesmerized. I remember the first time I heard it as a kid visiting Poland, and I was telling my friends back in the States about it because it was just weird.
Could you do an impression of it?
No, there's no way. I cannot do like the
I love you. I love you too.
Can I ask Mike something about this? Is this true, right? I should ask you this before the show because potentially you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I've been told by Polish people that there was some kind of national poll that took place to decide whether it should be dubbed, subtitle, or LEKTOR, and that the LEKTOR was voted for. Is that true?
I don't think there was any official poll like that in Poland of polls.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there were some unofficial polls done in newspapers and stuff like that. But people are already used to it. I mean,
exactly.
It's relatively cheap to do, cheaper than having professional voice actors and dubbing everything. And I remember having friends from other countries saying why don't they just do subtitles like in every other country? When you have subtitles, though, you have to be looking at the TV. My mom used to always say that she liked the fact that she could be doing something in the kitchen and still hear what's going on the TV without actually having to stare at this line of text going by all the time.
I did a deep dive into this once when I was making a pub quiz years ago, and I really looked into the story of the LEKTOR. And as far as I could tell, and again, I'm happy to be corrected by anybody listening who knows different. As far as I can tell, one of the ex-Soviet states like Uzbekistan or something had something like the LEKTOR, and nobody else in the entire world has the LEKTOR. Nobody. Everybody's voice actors or subtitles.
It's kind of hypnotic. There is something about it, the way he speaks, and that's what I was trying to get Mike to do an impression of, because the guy who does it wasn't one of the famous lectors died.
Yes, Janusz Kozio,
he passed away just last week, actually.
R.I.P. man. I mean, this is a guy literally that would have been implanted in Polish people's brains.
Yes.
It's part of the way they process the language, you know.
The guy must have been locked in the studio 22 hours a day. He did everything. He
had
did
a very
every show.
insistent kind of monotone or something. You know, he never changes the voice. He's not trying to match the tone of the program. That's the secret to the Lektor. He just reads it the same way every time, no matter what it is.
But, I think
surreal, though, like watching.
I think you're right, Mike, Dave. I forgot who said it, but I think it was Mike. That Polish people are just used to it. Like my wife, and I think most people, if you ask them, what the hell's going on with the Lektor, they might acknowledge how silly it is when you describe it, like I did. But then they'll say, you know what, I've listened to it my whole life. I'm just used to it, and so they want to keep it.
Fair enough. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, I download all
It's
my
just
TV.
weird. It's just weird. The whole Lektor thing is weird.
No, but there is something just mesmerizing about, like, there's a sex scene in a movie or a hyper-violent scene, and you just have this monotone man's voice, like, talking
That's what
about
I was trying to get at. Yeah, it is very strange. Like,
it's like, fuck you. No,
So,
fuck
again,
you.
although it's not as weird as watching Pulp Fiction at 1 p.m. on a public network on an American TV with an ad every 2 seconds and every swear word bleeped to be something like mother flipper. That's an actual thing I witnessed in the United States of America.
Do you not have
I was so confused.
Do you not have censorship on Irish TV? You can just
No,
say,
we just show it after the watershed, because who wants to watch
right.
Pulp Fiction with Mother Flipper dubbed in on top of it in a different voice every 10 seconds?
So if you land here on your first day in Poland and you turn on the TV, the first thing you're going to notice is the Lektor for sure. The second thing you're going to notice is the makeup of the variety of the kinds of shows. Now, I don't know so much about Irish TV, Dave, but it seems to me the shows here are more tilted towards what I would call a variety show. Performances, singing and dancing and that kind of
I love
stuff.
a cabaret show here. The variety shows are immensely popular. Everybody seems to watch them, particularly on Sunday. There seems to be a lot of them on Sunday. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's a Sunday thing. It's usually like filmed in front of a live audience somewhere out in some kind of open air theater or something along those lines. Huge events, thousands of people. And I'm like, I don't know anybody who actually goes to these things. Where do they find these people?
Years ago, I can remember, not only 20 years ago, I also lived here in Poland in 94, 95 as well. And at that time, this is a long time ago, of course, but at that time, I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but it was a very small percentage of the programming was original Polish programming. It was all, Airwolf and Walker Texas Ranger.
Same in Ireland back in the 80s.
Just crap that was, cheap crap that was dubbed into Polish. But slowly, year by year, you have more and more original Polish productions, and now the Walker Texas Ranger crap is very much the exception, and I think you can go all night on one of the mainstream channels and watch all original Polish programming.
Or at least, foreign programming, but up-to-date stuff. Because there was a time when I first came here, I was a big X-Files fan, but they were like 3 seasons behind here. It pissed me off. I actually watched German TV just to get up to speed on X-Files episodes. But now, something comes out in Western Europe or in the US. Here, it's usually available the same year.
Would you like to know something interesting about Irish TV, John? When I was growing up, we always got the American TV shows like, say, The Sopranos, much quicker than the British, who'd have to wait a year, 2 years. But because Ireland is one of the world's smallest English-speaking TV markets, the rights are basically given away for peanuts, whereas the UK, Poland, they'd be quite lucrative in terms of selling into them. So Ireland was always absolutely spoiled for the latest US dramas coming in on RTE, and that covered the fact that RTE don't do a lot of original programming, much less than is done over here, and we have a license fee as well. So,
well, by the way, speaking of like original programming and everything, like there were Polish programs which I thought were Polish, which I only found out later were just they bought the rights. One of them is Miodowe Lata, which went on in the mid-90s for 5 seasons. It was basically legally bought and everything like that. The Honeymooners, which I didn't realize. And then I'm watching like, oh, so
old school. Well, yeah. Miodowe Lata is the same idea, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the name means the same thing. It means like the honeymoon or something like that. And instead of being a bus driver, he's a tram driver.
Well, that's another staple. Maybe not the Honeymooners exactly, but that's another staple of Polish television. And this started... I would say this started early 2000s, whenever Big Brother came along, when you got a licensed Polish version of a very successful, usually reality show, successful TV show from either from America or from Europe. I'm talking about the Voice or the Poland's Got Talent, all these little singing shows, basically. There's a Polish version of all of those dedicated for the Polish market.
Sure, even the Americans copy the British on the singing shows, I mean, they do tend to go around the world, the formats of crap TV shows, yes.
Yeah,
would agree with that. Don't think that's unique to Poland, though. Can I throw a curveball into this discussion?
Go ahead.
at the risk of legally exposing myself live on the podcast,
This is
here,
Dave's comment and his alone.
what is the situation with a TV license in Poland? Does that exist?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I knew that, and I pay mine.
Oh, we all do regularly.
Just the bills.
And the radio as well. If you have a radio, you also have to pay.
Okay, but what's the damage like? How much a year is a basic TV
Good
license?
question. I think it's ballpark 200 zlotys a year. Can that be right?
I know that, of course, and
we all do, because I
have
just
the
paid mine
receipts
last
for
week.
it, but I paid it so long ago in advance that I don't remember right now.
Told you we should have prepped this piece
Does
better.
anybody pay that thing? Does anybody pay the license? Again, in this age of Netflix and everybody watching stuff on their laptop, do people really pay the fee for having a TV?
I'd just like to clear up that my wife's in charge of household finances. I'm sure we do pay our TV license. I've just never seen the bill.
Basically, you're saying if you're going down, you're taking her with you.
So there is
never listens to the KrakCast.
there is a political aspect of Polish TV, just like there's a political aspect of everything these days, especially in the last, let's call it 5 or 7 years, as the lines have become sharper between one side and the other. Dr. Mike, certain channels are identified with certain parts of the political spectrum. Oh, sorry, we should have set this out at the beginning, but your big players here, of course, are TVP, which is the state network, and they have lots of sub-channels, like regional channels, TVN, which is the biggest commercial network, and Polsat, which is, in terms of viewership, basically the same as TVN. Polsat doesn't get the publicity. Maybe they don't get so involved in the politics like TVN does. But those are three big players, TVP, TVN, and Polsat. And again, there are political connections between those channels and certain parties.
Yes, there are. Like, of course, TVN is basically associated with Platforma Nowoczesna, like that side of the spectrum. Polsat tries to be a little more in the middle, but still, it's more or less anti-government, maybe not as much as other stations. But and then you have TVP, which is the government state broadcaster, like the BBC or the CBC in Canada and Britain, respectively. Actually, other way around. And TVP was generally more or less neutral. It definitely was left-leaning for years and years and years because on the board were a lot of people connected with SLD and the post-commies for the 90s and 2000s. Nobody really cared that much, though. But when peace came into power, they put their own people in there quite forcefully, and the programming definitely changed. It was a slight change at the beginning with like the news stations, stuff like that, but now it's no longer subtle. They basically ram down their opinions on TV. I don't mind it because when I watch TV and I think I'm watching, the other side ramming their opinions into down my throat. But the thing is, TVP is, it's sponsored by all of us who pay our TV license.
Which we all know how much costs.
So people are annoyed, like, wait, we're paying for this, but you're using it as a platform for, or at least giving the impression that it's being used as a platform for one political party or one political group. People aren't very happy with that. At least with commercial channels, they get their money from sponsors, so they can do whatever they want with it. Though I have to also complain that even though it's publicly funded, TVP also has ads on it,
Yeah, that's the same on RTE. That's some bullshit. We love the BBC in Ireland because we get that free as well for some reason. And
you guys get everything over there, don't you?
You know what? When I was younger, we used to get this thing. They installed fibre in our part of Dublin, and for some reason, our basic cable package, which is covered by your TV licence, included 16 channels, where the rest of the country only got 8. And in Britain, they used to only get like 4 or 5 on the basic service. So we got all of them, a few channels which were pay in the UK. As I said, it's such a small market, nobody cares about it. And that's the thing about the Polish TV market, and I think we're going to get to the renaissance in Polish drama and some of the more prestige TV shows that are coming out at the moment. But this is a very lucrative, valuable media market. This will attract massive inflows of investment into Poland, I think, and I think it's a very positive thing in general that it's such a vibrant scene, even if it is very polarised.
It is polarized, and it just seems in the last 5 years or so, it's just become so, the contrast has become so sharp and so stark. And we've almost gone into this territory where it's just caricatures now, If you get your news from TVP, you are a right-wing maniac and you do whatever your priest tells you to do. If you get your news from TVN, you are a hippie that marches in gay pride parades every day. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is the ridiculous point we've reached now.
The way you love the New York Times and respect their opinion, even though you don't agree with it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so it's just automatically, if
The same in every country.
well, it's the same in every country, but it's just too bad that it's happened here as well.
Apart from Ireland, which doesn't have any form of right-wing media at all, so there's nothing to compare it to. But in the UK, you've got your Telegraph readers versus your Guardian readers, and this is an old thing in media. You just need to be intelligent enough to pick through articles and see the bias there as well as the facts.
Actually,
Mike?
I want to go back to a more lighter note, maybe.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the lectors and everything like that, I started thinking about the translation as well they have here. They're not often that great, especially like the Discovery Channel. And
They're basic.
They're rudimentary at best, yeah, and they make so many goddamn mistakes. I'm just remembering watching a World War II documentary way back in the day, and
They said Japan won or something?
Oh, they've said stuff like that before, but no, this was hilarious. They were basically saying, there's going to be a little translation here, so it might be lost, but they were talking about the Eastern Front and that the Russian Soviets were only able to bring 5,000 pistols to the front line. And I'm like, wait, what? Because they said in Polish, pistoletów. Because in English, they'd use the word guns, meaning, heavy artillery. 5,000 is quite a lot. But when you're thinking like small arms guns, that's how they translated it. So like
that's
the Soviets only had
difference, a very important difference.
Often when I watch these like Discovery Channel programs, it's like they confuse the speed of light with the speed of sound. They mean 500 when they meant to say 500,000 and stuff like that. So when you're listening, like some things just don't add up. Because I really feel like they find like a student like who needs a little bit of extra cash, so he's like translating these scripts at 3 a.m. between classes and then sending him off for 50 zlotys, and they just run without proofreading it.
It's a good thing you're sitting down. I'm like, holy shit, that was a long sentence. Impressive, dude.
Trying to imagine the Red Army showing up with 5,000 pistols.
How about a little quiz, John? How about a little quiz, right?
Let's do it.
I have in front of me the top 10 most viewed events in the history of Polish television.
Events, like live events or shows?
2 of them were non-sporting events. Can you guess which 2 events?
I'm going to guess one has to do with the Pope.
Yes. One funeral.
Okay. The Pope's funeral. Okay.
Yeah, that's number one. Number one by a mile.
The other one is non-Pope.
The other one is non-Pope, non-sport.
But is it also a funeral?
I'm not giving clues.
The Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mike got a clue out of me.
I'm a little surprised, who would want to watch a funeral? It's not like it's an event that something is going to suddenly happen.
On the subject of most watched, I happen to, again, from my pub quiz days, I happen to know what is, maybe not every week, but almost every week, the most watched program of any type on Polish television is something. It's one of those things, like it's kind of like disco polo. Nobody admits to liking it, but somebody obviously likes it because of the numbers. It's a drama called Im Jak Miłość. It's a soap opera, basically, yeah? And this is by far the most watched show on Polish television. But if you stop 100 people on the street, you say, have you watched
the one? Na 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 na.
Oh, you know the music to it, huh? Okay, there's one viewer right here. If you stop 100 people on the street and say, have you watched Im Jak Miłość? They'll say, oh, no, not at all, not at all.
Getting outed and shamed here.
Somebody is watching it. Let's move on to our favorite. This is what I really want.
No. Are we doing shit shows? What are those things? Szkola and Spital. Sometimes I just stare at them.
You know a lot about these soap operas. You know a lot about
what TV show.
Are you going to blame this on your wife too?
No, I'm fascinated. Do you know the 2 shows I'm talking about? One is set in a school, one set in a hospital. They don't seem to be
like
dramas.
really serious. So
they're on every day. Yeah. Lots of serious children, getting caught smoking and behind the lockers or whatever. And it's just, it doesn't seem to be like a proper drama or a soap opera. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of hybrid. Can you shed any light on this, people?
I'm thinking it's basically they just need to get some airtime filled for cheap, and they just pick people off the street. Okay, you're going to be a teenager.
Come here.
Yeah, basically, you're going to play a teenager who just got caught smoking. You're going to be her single mom. We're going to say they're getting bad grades in school, and they just film it. And it's like one take, bad acting, bad lighting, and they run with it. And they do the same kind of thing in hospitals where somebody comes in like drunk, and then they find out that their wife is pregnant with another person, and gets in a fight in the ER room. And this is like horrible.
So you
level.
watch it too, huh?
No, but it's like you turn it on in the middle of the day because it's like daytime television. You turn it on, it's like, what is this? And I remember the first few times I saw it, I didn't understand.
The first few times. Huh? Okay, keep going. Keep going, Mike.
Watch whole episodes. I started for 2 minutes.
Sure you
and
didn't.
switched channels.
Mike has a point here. Can't we get some interns from the Wooch Film School to make this thing just look even slightly professional?
I mean, you have YouTubers filming stuff with high quality just using their freaking cell phones than what this is, going on national television.
These are staples, by the way. These are on every day.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing that's on in the canteen when you walk in and work, and there's one weirdo in the corner watching it, eating their salad, Mike ranting at the TV.
I like the pierogi they have there. No, and there's also like a cop drama or crime dramas like Wuja the Nashche.
Another staple.
And the thing is, my mom's cleaning lady, she used to think these were real. They would actually have like shows where somebody was murdered and they're trying to figure out who, and they're going to a bar to ask questions and the barman doesn't want to answer them or something like that. Really cheap, like bad scripts, but like every day somebody would die or get raped, and my mom's cleaning lady actually thought that this was based on stuff really going on in the city. I don't know, they must be killing like several hundred people a year here.
Plus a little local point as well, everywhere you go in Krakow they're filming these cheap crappy TV shows and they're always in the way and they're always blocking streets, and it annoys me. Yeah, John?
Now can I okay, I'm gonna anything else annoys you?
Lots of things annoy me. Keep talking.
True. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Let's move on to my what I really want to talk about with TV here. I don't know why we saved it for the second half of the show. Is commercials. The world of commercials fascinating to me. Now, first of all, Dave, you said something about this earlier. American TV, it bothers you. So many commercials. But you know what, though? American TV and European Union TV have the same number of minutes. I think is it 18 or 60 minutes per hour? But the American ones are every 6 minutes they come on for a short break. The Polish TV has fewer but longer breaks. Which one do you choose?
Fewer but longer breaks. I don't watch much live television anymore. Ad breaks are real pain in the nostrils. That's why everyone prefers catch-up services and streaming.
Mike, you say the same thing? Fewer but longer?
I think so, yeah, but ad breaks used to be really weird when I first moved here in the 90s. Right now, ad breaks happen when they're supposed to happen during like a show between acts. There's a scene where they fade out. Back in the late 90s,
randomly,
halfway through a sentence, a scene, they would just like cut.
And the killer is?
A long ad break allows you to prepare a cup of tea as well.
Yeah, that's true, but sometimes they're too long and you lose interest. You start switching channels and you land someplace else, and then you miss it when it comes back on and you don't want to go back. I don't know. Neither is perfect.
A big adjustment for me was in Ireland. Natalia always says all the ads are about sausages and cheese, and she's right about that. I've noticed now that Irish TV is just blanketed
sausages and cheese,
blanketed for ads for meats and cheeses, and it's our national obsession. But in Poland, it's very much erectile dysfunction drugs. Cleaning orifice.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this.
An awful lot of drug commercials.
I'll give you the foundations. I'll give you the standard obligatory categories here. Number one is mobile networks.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Play ads are so annoying.
They're so annoying because you get the same ad and they'll play it every goddamn 15 minutes. Every day for a month. Around the holidays, how many times did you see that one where it was a divorced couple and they were kind of trying to coordinate their shared son and to make sure you got to see both households? It was on constantly. So it's bad enough that there's constantly a commercial for a mobile network. At least they could do is give us some variety. But anyway, that's one.
Combine the mobile networks that also have piles to be treated.
Wow, I never thought about that. Mobile networks, cars, of course, that's a big one. Banks.
Car ads are cool. You don't mind car ads.
Banks / insurance is a big one as well.
Finance, yeah.
And you
watch more Polish TV than me, obviously. Has the drug thing calmed down? Is there as many drug ads as there used to be?
Lots of drug ads. I'm glad Dr. Mike is here. We're going to get his professional medical perspective on this. This is something that has confused me for a long time. Let me give you a little bit of background here. I'll compare it to American television. On American TV, one of the staples there is for something called acid reflux, which I'm convinced was made up by the pharmaceutical industry.
I suffer from acid reflux. It is not made up by anybody. It can cause pre-Barrett's. It can do an awful lot of damage.
It didn't exist until like the mid-90s.
Heartburn didn't exist till the mid-90s.
Not heartburn. This is not heartburn. This is like a
That's what acid reflux is.
This is giving it some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's a fancier medical term for heartburn, which has been around forever, but suddenly it became acid reflux, and for that you need
excuse them for
this
using an
medicine.
accurate medical term in an advertisement.
No, it was basically to sell this medicine, which is an ordinary cure that was been around forever, but now we've repackaged it for a specific problem. You don't have heartburn. No. Now you have acid reflux, which is like a step above or 5 steps above that. Just go with me here. Just roll with it, okay?
Oh, yeah. You just want me to agree with you?
Yeah, just shut up and say yes, John.
I always call it heartburn, yeah? Okay, but all I hear when I hear acid reflux is a medical term for a commonly used expression. Heartburn's not the medical term for it.
No, it's a common term for it. Anyway, my point is, if you'll stop shitting on it, is that on Polish television, they have commercials for livers and various liver-related ailments, which I never saw in my life until I got here. And I'm working on the assumption that, I grew up with American television. Basically, if it's not promoted in a commercial there, it probably doesn't exist. That's my assumption, basically.
Also, creams providing orifice relief.
That's my assumption. So when suddenly I see liver commercials left, right, and center constantly on Polish television, I'm a little bit confused. Didn't know it was an issue.
Straighten them out here, Mike.
This is all a very roundabout way of getting to you, Dr. Mike. What the hell is going on with these liver pills?
It's all pretty much BS. I could never understand it. My dad was also like, he would eat something like, oh, my liver hurts now. I shouldn't have had that.
My liver hurts?
Yeah. I tried to explain to him it doesn't really work that way. But like, oh, I had some burnt toast this morning. That's why my liver hurts. It's like, no. I mean, there are certain foods can cause some discomfort, some flatulence, etc. And
liver causes flatulence. Liver problems cause flatulence.
No. But the thing is,
farting. If you
I'm
don't
saying
know,
some food can cause stomach discomfort, but everybody thinks here everything it revolves around the liver.
How's your bacteria, Mike? Your stomach bacteria is all right.
It's doing all right.
Everyone's talking about stomach bacteria these days. It's a real hot button issue at the moment.
Great way.
How's your bacteria?
I eat lots of yogurt, I guess.
Good man, so do I love
probiotics, but you're also bullshit if you're an adult. Unless you've taken antibiotics and need to actually replenish, then eating yogurt is not going to come.
I'm allergic to penicillin. I should be grand.
Yeah. No, but the whole liver thing is, I don't know where they came up with it, but they just...
That's a real allergy.
Massive.
Right? Yeah.
It's massive industry here. Go to a pharmacy. There's like a whole section devoted to liver pills. Right?
Yeah,
and they're all advertised
it is
constantly.
strange. You don't hear much liver pill talk on Irish TV. We're just way too
Did you say
obsessed. Liver pill, I said.
Liver pill?
Talk.
It sounds the same coming out of your mouth. It sounds the same.
We just like meat in our liver pill. Just sell us some sausages and we're happy.
This funeral has been brought to you by Cheddar.
All right, so Dr. Mike, you're equally confused by the liver pills.
Yeah, I think somebody just noticed that it was popular and they just ran with it. They're like, this is cheap shit we can sell to people. They believe in it for some reason. Let's go with it. And the truth is, in Poland, when it comes to over-the-counter medication, Poland is right up there when it comes to sales. So they try to advertise everything they can.
May I say there's a slight element of hypochondriac element in Polish society. They are very, they're always talking about that. I think
years ago, just like full-length television programs, I said were kind of adapted, were imported to the Polish market and just dubbed. Same thing applied to commercials. I can remember watching lots of commercials, especially for like household cleaners and foods and things like that. You'd see a commercial. The family, obviously Spanish or Italian or German or whatever.
You're lucky if they looked European, let's be honest.
And it was dubbed into Polish. Two women talking about something to clean their kitchen dishes, and dubbed badly into Polish. And now that's completely gone. Every commercial is made for the Polish market, as far as I know. Have you seen any imported commercials? I don't think so.
Though there are like the Old Spice commercials with the big muscular guy that's dubbed into Polish.
Yeah, maybe because people from the internet, people know that's their the what makes it unique or interesting or something like that.
But to pivot off ads for a minute, like it ties into what we want to say about the prestige drama side of things. There's massive investment into the Polish media market because people realise it's one of the biggest media markets in Europe, and it's going to be profitable for a long time. And it's great to see HBO really invest in the way they are in the Polish drama. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but I really like that series Blinded by the Lights. I thought it was excellent. It seems that Fact is very good. That one about the border, Wataha, my wife thinks is excellent. I'm mentioning you a lot this week, baby. Good thing you never listen. And it seems to me that there's a real golden age in Polish TV developing, and that's another.
Well, you say that though, but HBO is a big deal, but is it Polish TV? That's one of the things that stands out to me about what's changed so much.
Yeah.
Again, Netflix is a monster, HBO, but you go through.
Who cares? Finances.
But wait, if you have a cable TV package, go through it and you'll see your Nickelodeon and your Animal Planet and your Discovery and your National Geographic and your BBC. And I think apart from the big three, the TVP, TV, and Polsat, I don't see any Polish channels really breaking new ground. In terms of setting up their own programming, they take foreign stuff, they dub it.
TVN's dramas are very well regarded, aren't they?
Yeah,
They have a lot of really popular
Besides those
stuff.
3 channels, nobody's really trying so hard like the smaller stations. But the smaller stations don't have the resources to start their own program, so they start with reruns.
Yeah, it was a bit unrealistic to a small local station to make a prestige drama. They require a massive investment, and they need to be able to be sold across borders. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that it doesn't need a huge amount of these shows to start breaking over the top the way the Scandinavian dramas started to do on English-speaking TV in America, on BBC America, on British TV, before you can get a huge buzz going and an inward investment into the market. I just think we're about to see the first wave of Polish TV dramas that become popular worldwide,
Yeah, but look at who's behind those. Like Netflix and HBO are making these
They're
money.
financed for Polish writers, directors, actors.
Yeah, there's an economy of scale where Polish content creators really can't compete. You're up against the giants.
Blinded by the Lights is set in Warsaw. It's all in Polish. It's all Polish actors. It's all Polish directors.
Yeah.
So who cares essentially?
Well, the platform matters. It's ultimately it's an HBO show. To what percent is it Polish? What percent is it Hollywood? It's kind of hard to say. But I think you can make an argument. Look at the success of Netflix, which is de facto a TV channel.
It's breaking down those barriers.
Wait. Netflix is de facto a TV channel. And what have they been in the Polish market for? I don't know, 4 or 5 years? I'm not sure exactly. But I remember
that long, I think.
About 2 years ago, I saw, or maybe a year ago, I saw some stats. They were just under 1 million paid subscribers in Poland. So now they're certainly over 1 million. And I'm sure they're headed towards 1.5 million, maybe 2 million one day. That's a lot. And the fact that Netflix has become so successful so quickly, I think you could make the argument that speaks to the dissatisfaction that a lot of people have with existing.
It's a global
options.
trend in media, and the point I'm just trying to make is that I think we could all agree that when it comes to filmmaking, Poland's hugely well regarded internationally, and there's a lot of respect for the output there, And I just think that because this piece is about the television world, the Polish TV hasn't traditionally been seen that way, but that's starting to happen now. And the quality that exists in terms of storytelling, script writing, acting, directing is going to start being put up on the screen in that international border smashing way that Amazon, Netflix, all these services had. That's nothing to do with people's dissatisfaction. It's just the way they're consuming media now.
There's potential, but going back to what we were talking about with Netflix and the paid subscription model, I prefer it because I hate ads on TV. They piss me off, and I noticed years ago that it was getting worse. I was watching some old Simpsons episode, and the Simpsons episode was on average 23, 24 episodes in the early 90s. So in a half-hour block, you had
23 minutes. You mean 23 minutes?
23 minutes, yeah. So in the half-hour block, you had 7 minutes of ads, more or less. Right now, an average Simpsons episode is about 18, 19 minutes.
Yeah, and they're all shit.
Yeah. So it's and an extra 5 minutes of ads. So it's basically almost half ads right now.
We should do a piece on the death of the Simpsons. There's so much to say about how they raped the greatest cultural monument ever created by the United States.
Apart from the Simpsons, any other final words on the subject of Polish TV?
It's getting better.
Poland actually had its own Simpsons South Park ripoff years and years ago. God, it was
It did?
Yeah. It was. I'll show you this guys on YouTube.
Put a link up on the description.
I can do better than that, Mike. I remember when Beavis and Butthead was really big, that MTV just started out in Poland. Beavis and Butthead was dubbed in Polish by voice actors. There was a Polish Beavis and Butthead. It was shockingly bad.
Also, I'm going to put something in the description too. There's this thing called Soupy Norman on YouTube, which is these Irish guys who took a Polish soap opera and dubbed these heavy West Coast Irish accents all over them, talking about soup and stuff. It's very funny.
Soup?
Soupy Norman. In the show, they're always eating soup, and they're like, Jesus, I love soup. And then it's kind of, you have to see it. I'll put it up.
On the subject of soup, I think that's going to do it for our discussion of Polish TV. Thanks for listening. Please share with a friend. Leave us a comment. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you think.
And if you're in Ireland, buy plenty of meat.
And sausage. And
Meat is sausage, and
we'll
sausage
see you
is
next
meat.
time on the KrakCast.